prehab, we're looking at max velocity. So what are the big rocks we have here? We need stability, isometric, at the hip and ankle. So we might have some isos in here. We might have some mobility. We might have some knee flexion exercises, maybe some duck walks and things to get the knee moving a little bit more. We might have some core stability, so the pelvis isn't moving all over the place when we run. Okay, so this will be our main prehab section. It'll be very specific. Okay, in our warm-up, it's gonna look very similar to the Excel template. Okay, so very similar there. Now our vertical drills is where it looks a little different. So typically vertical on a max V, we start overhead. So overhead with the PVC, and we'll go through the same drills. Okay, the same drills on this overhead. We'll progress from PVC or hands overhead to PVC to med ball, but we'll progress through. All right, so this period I like to work on hip height and really extending through the hip without the rib cage flying open. Okay. From our vertical, we talked about hip height, talked about a pattern. I used to do a lot of B drills, but in a lot of team sport athletes, it was hard for them to separate a B drill and not casting out and reaching with that lower leg. And I wanted everything to focus on the hip. So I typically go from overhead straight into dribbles and then dribbles into wickets. So what the dribbles help me do is teach the pattern of basically the hip working where my foot is coming back down into the ground with a negative step, stepping over the ankle, stepping over the calf, stepping over the knee, moving forward, getting to higher speeds as we move forward, and then bleeding that into wickets. So typically we start with a shorter distance between the cones, shorter run up, and we run through 18 miles per hour, right? So this is just an example. We don't always start with 18. The next we might run through a dribble still into a wicket at 19. Now the last one, as we go into 20, we're typically gonna do a run up here on the faster lane and run through, and each step is longer, right? So if I think I'm dribbling the first two into it, and the last one I'm really running into, I know the first lane that I create should be about -2 to 3 miles per hour off of my peak speed, okay? Now the next one that I do should be about 1 to 2 miles per hour off of my max speed, and the last one should be about 1 mile per hour off my max speed. So that I know once I finish this phase and I go into my real work, I've progressively gone from a low speed to high speed every single rep. I mean, gradually increasing my intensity, gradually increasing the distance, gradually increasing the speed, so that when I get to my actual work for the day, I've achieved it by progressively getting to that speed. Now, if I go straight from a warm-up straight into 21 miles per hour, my body's not going to be happy with me. So I want to make sure that I can get there progressively. All right. So now that I've taught the body how to cycle, how to step down, how to get a good stride length from attacking under the body, now we'll go into our real work. So we'll go into our sprints. So it could be flies, it could be in and outs, it could be curve run to a velocity run, right? So this is where our main work is, and hopefully what we've done is we've patterned the body all the way through to reach each phase progressively, so that when we get to here, it's not a shock to the body. All right, the next two can be interchangeable. Our resisted work is typically very light resisted, so 10% VDEC or 10 to 15% body weight. Sometimes we'll put these two together. So we'll do a resisted rep and a fly rep. So we're getting some horizontal emphasis. And then last, we'll finish with plyos. These plyos are going to be elastic. So they're short ground contact times. This is where our rudiment series from Altus we would use, where it's a shorter contact time. It's still intense. We're doing very, very, very intense, but we're not doing a ton of volume.